Hi, everybody. This is Adam Elenbaas from Nightlight Astrology, and these are your sun and rising sign horoscopes for the month of September 2019. And this is the horoscope for Aquarius, Aquarius sun, Aquarius rising. So the month is the story of Virgo for the first two-thirds. It's August 30th as I'm recording this right now, and there was just a new moon in the sign of Virgo just today. That's really carrying over and toning September. Astrologers work in lunar months much more than they do in calendar months for the most part. So when we look at September, we're really saying, where's the moon, the lunar energy taking us right now for this month? It's kind of nice when the lunar cycles line up with the calendar months, a little tidier, but September is really the story of Virgo up until the later part, which then moves into Libra, and we'll look at that later. For now, Virgo in the 8th house, creating a Tsquare with Neptune in the 2nd and Jupiter in the 11th. So these planets all moving through squares to Jupiter and oppositions to Neptune as the month goes on. This is the story of the month. Now, for you, all of these are taking place in succedent houses. 8, 2, and 11 are all succedent houses, which have to do with things that will come to us in time, or things that we are cultivating that will bear fruit in time. The reason for this is that all of these houses move to become angular houses next by means of the diurnal motion of the sky. So 11 becomes 10, 8 becomes 7, 2 becomes 1. So because of that, this month, you could say in a very general way, is about the future. It's about what you're cultivating, what you're growing, whether it's investments, whether it's friendships or community, whether it's debts and things that come in that you have to take care of that you don't like, that now you're going to be strapped to or bound to for the future. All of these things are important. Now, the 8th house is a house of debt, but it's not the kind of debt that people usually think about, like owing a bill to somebody. It could be that, but it also has the meaning of things that are owed to us from others karmically in this lifetime, as well as things that we owe to other people. But it is a house where the kinds of exchanges that we get into are often complicated by our karma, what someone gives me or what they take from me, or what I give them, or what I take from them. So with a lot of planets in Virgo in that house right now, there maybe is a sense of the kinds of things that are going to be given or taken from us will also involve a more critical examination of ourself, of others, of the past, of our behaviors or habits. Virgo has this way of helping us be really sort of pure, critical, meticulous, careful, analytical. And so, for example, if this could be a month where you are analyzing your financial behaviors and trying to get out of debt, out of things that you owe. This could be a time when your partner is leveling up by learning some new skills or abilities, and therefore adding more to the collective money pot, right? So that this doesn't have to be super linear, like, well, you're going to owe money, or your partner's going to make a ton of money. It could also be, again, like I said, like a partner's developing a skill. Or also it could be that you're just doing some level of analysis that helps you to get out of a behavior that continually leaves you indebted to other people. For example, there's a lot of ways in life that we're dependent upon others. A lot of Virgo energy in the 8th house might be giving you some new skills, hints, or ideas about how to be less dependent on others, especially in ways that you feel are unhealthy or that you don't like. At the same time, you could anticipate that someone might be willing to teach you something new. You got an exalted Mercury in the 8th house right now. That means skills, ideas, thoughts, technical abilities, stuff like that, from other people can be given to you. Power, authority, Sun Cazimi with Mars at the beginning of the month. You could be granted authority, power, greater responsibility, duty, because someone else is giving it to you, or because it's somehow owed to you. At the same time, you want to be careful. Venus is in its fall in this house. So the things that we owe in relationships right now, if you're an Aquarius sun or Aquarius rising, might be a little challenging. You may have to kind of pay up. You owe someone, or you need to give someone, more time, energy, attention, care. Be careful of the energy of criticism in relationships right now as well, and just harshness in general, and like rigid expectations of one another, things to be mindful of. There's a lot more that could be said, but let's keep it at that for now and start diving into this T-square. The question of what is ours, or shared values, shared resources, as we like to say in modern astrology, versus what is mine, independent values, and what I'm in possession of that's just my own. That kind of tension is set up with the T-square opposition part of the T-square from all those planets in Virgo in the 8th to Neptune in the 2nd. Jupiter in the 11th is asking the question about our social participation. What groups do we belong to? What religious organizations? Who are our teachers? Who are our allies or colleagues or friends or benefactors? Who is trying to help us? And what kind of help should we take and should we not take? These are really interesting questions that we have to consider right now. The other thing that can come up during this time is just being exposed to new groups of people, let's say professionally or socially, that we may end up learning something from that's really profound. That ties back to Mercury in the 8th, Jupiter in the 11th. Or you could say that there's just a general sense in which we might be asked to give or contribute something to others or to a group, and then we have to ask, how much can I actually give and how much is appropriate? These kinds of questions, though, all have to also do with the Jupiter-Neptune square that's perfecting this month, which in general between the 11th and 2nd is a question about our resources and who we want to associate with and how that's helping us develop something for the future, or how it's helping us to cultivate some kind of inner virtue. Where are our people? That's a big question right now for Aquarians. Or there could be some sense in which a new creative or even financial or business idea is formulating, and you're trying to figure out practical or creative ways of implementing it. And there could also be, some things to hash out in relationships about new projects or new business ventures or something like that. So that's the kind of the dominant energy all the way up until the equinox on the 23rd. But let's talk about a few specific moments. You've also, at the very beginning of the month, you've got Venus moving through an opposition to Neptune, like the 3rd to the 5th, thereabouts. And that can bring up, this kind of Venus-Neptune dynamic in love and relationships. I mean, sometimes it's as simple as like Venus is opposite Neptune. Let's go and spend too much money on dinner, right? Sometimes it's that simple. But other times it brings up much deeper concerns about faith, belief, and shared values in relationships, or it brings up the tension of our sexuality, or right. So Venus Neptune for some people might be really profound around relationships, love, sexuality, friendships, and you may also look at the topic of boundaries and health, and what does a healthy Venus look like? What's a healthy friendship look like? What's a healthy romantic partnering look like? So watch for that. And this is going to be amplified also by the full moon on September 14th. Full moon in Pisces conjoined Neptune in the 2nd house, really asking you about your own values, maybe really a big focus for that full moon moment also on finances and money. It would be a big shock this month if there wasn't, for me anyway, if a lot of Aquarians out there weren't experiencing some major shifts around money and finances. And also this question of, what's shared, who do we owe what, where are the boundaries between what's mine and what I owe others, or what others expect of me. I think those questions are going to be a big deal. Full moon in Pisces on the 14th should amplify that. So if we go forward from there, we go to a few other things that are kind of neat. Like you go to September 13th to the 15th. And right between on that time, you're going to see Mercury and Venus getting together in a conjunction in Virgo, and then popping into the 9th house. This is interesting because, again, you just get the feeling that there could be some breakdowns of communication this month in relationships that debilitated Venus. But Mercury's there saying, hey, I've got an idea, I've got a solution, I've got a fix, I've got an idea that could mend something that's been broken or that needs harmonizing. And then the two planets move right into Venus's home sign, where Venus becomes empowered again. And I think at that point, there's the potential for really sort of You think harmony, Venus, communication, Mercury. You think of beauty, friendship, love, and then intelligence, ideas, thinking, speaking. So I like where the energy is heading for relationships this month. There could be more of that kind of critical edge, or things that need organizing, tidying, and Venus might be, Venusian things might be a little harder up until about the full moon. That means, trying to find agreement or harmony, or just trying to, whether it's just that confidence that you feel, it's like having a good hair day or something, what I mean? Not that I have any, but I did have long hair, very long hair at one point. And, so I do know what it's like to have a bad hair day. And the point is that, like, Venus in Virgo is sort of like, you're not in Venus's wheelhouse, right? So it's like, you might have a great day at work, but it's not as great as when you have a great day, plus you're feeling good in your body, or you're feeling like you look okay or whatever. I feel like that productivity starts bringing the grace, the beauty, the feeling of joy or happiness, that just kind of the entourage of Venus becomes more noticeable right around the full moon on the 14th. And it could also point to a period of right around the 14th of learning, education, teachers and teaching, women and intelligence, kind of almost like the goddess Venus with Mercury, who is so intelligent. You kind of put those two together and you think, okay, look for feminine teachers that inspire you, right? Or look for an articulation that's very intelligent, but it's very tactful, sensitive, caring, relationally oriented. Just get that goddess energy in there as well. So that takes us all the way up to the big plot twist in the month, which happens at the time of the fall equinox. So at the time of the fall equinox, what's happening is the sun's entering the sign of Libra, and then there's going to be a new moon in Libra on the 28th. Equinox is on the 23rd. Venus and Mercury will move through squares to Saturn and Pluto. They'll do so between the 25th and the 26th. That's in your 12th house. This is an interesting moment because 9th house, 12th house connections often have to do with, especially given Libra, scales of justice, balance, and then Capricorn in the 12th has just kind of this feeling of like a karmic reckoning, like really dealing with our shadows, losing the plot, losing control, having to deal with things that are coming up that are difficult, whether that's health problems or just, just kind of hitting a few blocks, as we like to say. So Venus and the stellium in Libra in the 9th house are going to be about how do your faith statements, how do your beliefs, how does your education or learning help you move through a time of doubt, uncertainty, blocks, inner work, loss or hardship, 12th house stuff. The need to like escape or get out of something, it may be quite intense with the South Node and Saturn, feeling trapped by something, feeling like you're having to slog through something, like you have to complete a term paper or something like that. This is a karmic moment, and it's important to find grace and harmony and patience to work through it, because it's a really educational moment in the 9th house where you can really start to understand karmic law and the way that things reach and find balance in life. So open yourself up from like the 23rd through the end of the month to the idea that whatever's happening, however challenging it may be, however, kind of karmically unjust things may seem, trust that you're getting the best verdict from the universe possible, and just see what that feels like. Because it has the potential to be a very deep and profound learning moment. But it may also be a time of, really kind of challenging your faith a bit, because that South Node, Saturn, Pluto dynamic in the 12th, all these planets in the 9th hitting the square, easy to go into sort of existentialist, nihilist freak out mode. So, you might have to move through a little mini dark night of the soul towards the end of the month, but it could be very educational as well. It could also signify something as simple as going on a meditation retreat, or, like just needing to check out a bit and do some learning that separates you from the world so you can get some perspective on different struggles that you've been dealing with. So, just don't binge watch. Just don't binge watch some trashy TV show, because that would be the horrible way to check out. be like, I know everything about this TV show, learned nothing about my problems. Okay, so so that takes us through the end of the month. That is what I got. That's what I've got for you, Aquarians out there. Please tell me how things go. If you enjoyed this, please give me the thumbs up and click the subscribe button. I found out recently that there's an algorithm, and that when people like these videos and they subscribe, that it means that more people have the chance to see your video, which is great because I really know nothing about YouTube at all. I've been doing this for maybe like a year or so. And so I just found that out recently, and I was like, oh, just if you like it, please subscribe. So thanks, and we'll see you guys next month. Take care.